Until about 6 weeks ago, this opening ceremony was actually supposed to be a live event taking place in an arena in Madrid. Unfortunately, about 6 weeks ago, due to COVID, the decision was taken to cancel the event in Madrid and switch it to a pre-recorded film instead. There were a couple of things we wanted to keep in mind at all times. First was that we wanted to retain all the talent who had been brought on for the original show, such as TK, our singer, and all our brilliant Wildsiders, who also feature in the film. We wanted to make sure they were retained in this pre-recorded version. And the other massive constraint we had is that we knew we'd have very little time for any post-production. Because we were shooting this so close to the delivery date, when this show goes live, the day of the Wild Rift Icons final, we knew we only had a week from the end of filming to the transmission date. And a week is not a long time to do any post-production. All effects had to be done real world, in camera. So very little, if any, CGI or post special effects. Everything you see in this film is being done for real, in reality, using a variety of different magic tricks, techniques, camera positions, a whole myriad of different techniques were used. Then we brought our amazing director, Ross, on board. He's a genius, and he came up with a whole load of more ideas.
Everything we're doing, how do we do this practically? What would the practical solution would be? And only as an absolute last resort would we do something that wasn't practical. The other thinking behind it was all our performers are doing this stuff for real, so we should do it for real too. By doing things practically, we're celebrating the talents of the art department, the camera department, the makeup department, the costume department. And it makes the shoot, it really adds something to the shoot because everyone can see real magic happening. And it just created this atmosphere on set where everyone was whooping and hollering with joy. There was none of that, oh, this is in green screen, we're going to post it in, or we're going to add a 3D robot come in here, or we're going to extend here. Everything we saw was happening for real in camera, so everyone could easily understand and see the magic. And it meant that the first offline edit felt like the finished film because so much of it was done.
Another crucial member of the team is Dan Betteridge, who's our incredible art director, and he came up with the incredible sets, which are really astonishing actually and very intricate and really add to the whole sense of theatricality that surrounds this whole thing. We wanted the whole thing not to appear too real world. It has very much an element of theatre about it, and so Dan created these standalone sets which sit almost in isolation within the studio itself and have a real kind of magic of their own. So he created all that stuff with his incredible team, and then we had our incredible DOP, Simon, and made it look fantastic. So all these key people and all the other unsung heroes and heroines all had a huge part to play in making this thing look as good as it does now.
The nails trick's a perfect example of our practical effects first approach. We started by adding magnets to false nails so they can magically appear, and then we combined it with a custom-made prism lens on the phone camera, and then I developed a custom iPhone app which animated the glitching graphics over the live camera feed, so the whole sequence could be shot in camera with no VFX.
In-camera costume changes, and they are literally clothes changing whilst the camera goes past. It's not a cut, it's not a post-production effect, it is happening live in front of you. So that's been wildly challenging actually, because we've had to have two outfits, the Wildsider outfit underneath, and then build on top of that a normal outfit that is pulled off as the camera goes past, but it has to go in a second to reveal this Wildsider outfit. And with the normal world, I've made a colour palette with the normal world. It's very muted, it's browns and greys and blacks and navies, and then this wild world is such colour, so it's the effect is really dramatic when the clothes come off, because it's a totally different style of clothes and then also colour. You're met with colour. It was exciting. It was nerve-wracking, and then it was really, really exciting. And it was probably my favourite day of my entire career, actually, is all that stuff working. It was amazing. The effect was amazing.
Dan and I both always wanted to do a traditional matte painting, and here we were lucky enough to get to do two. They were beautifully painted on glass by Lee Took. There's a clear bit in the middle where you can see through it to the real set shot in the studio. The transition is just a simple camera move that reveals it's a painting, and then it's a white transition between the two shots. It would have been possible to put those TV screens in post-production, but we would have shot it in a completely different way. But because we made all the effort to do that edit beforehand, meant that we could have this amazing set where we had the rain drops, we could have moving camera the whole time, we could be shooting a reflection on top of TK, on top of the thing. And if we hadn't done that, we'd have ended up with this practically locked off shot of TVs in a window with no reflections and no nothing, and it would have looked awful. We were going to introduce Elena, who flies by her hair, and we see the rope attached to her and her carabiner start to lift her hair, and yeah, she was just amazing. Like, I say every talent was incredible, but what she was doing, like, no one could quite believe it when she did it.
We worked with Ainsley, our dancers, and our drones, which was amazing, which initially it was like a different concept because we still had the drones in our old concept when it was a live event. But now we just took it in a different direction, and yes, the first time we worked with drones, and the guys were great. I don't think they were expected to be told in how many bars or rates they had to do things and all that, so it was a challenge for them and for us as well. I had Leanne, who works with me, my assistant, she's very talented as well, and she drilled them and drilled them.
6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We got the perfect timings and they were incredible.
So they coming on the way up. A true fighter's what they always been afraid of. Cards had it close, I'm a sucker when I lay up. Switch the game every quarter like a time zone. Aim to the bus, trying to build up to this milestone. Put the boy with all the items that I might own. Imagine what I'm about to do, be an icon. And the problem just the haters that
I mean, working with the parkour guys, they're all, I mean, everyone in the show is so talented, but you know, the parkour group, like, they're just so open-minded, and they were willing to, you know, have someone help them and collaborate with them and tell them how to do things, just to get a different perspective, because they think of it as the tricks, but we see it more as that continuation of how it all gels together and in what direction things happen and all that. So they were amazing, and just the stuff they can do, I'm like, I can't even forward roll anymore.
So it's not very common to see guys doing parkour lines together or intersecting and the camera's attention being taken away. And so that's been really exciting, being able to come onto this kind of stage.
And the thing I love about this scene, the original brief was to make a cool looking Singapore night market. And then we added these fantastic dancers. We brought all our Wildsiders back in their amazing costumes. Then we had the incredible makeup and hair from Natasha. The art direction was beautiful. Everywhere you looked, you point the camera. Then you take Simon Chaudroy, sprinkling a bit of Chaudroy lighting magic over the whole set. On top of that, you do a camera move and you crane back up and go up and up and up and up and up and up. And the whole set is not only a fantastic, amazing, beautiful night market that also works as a proscenium arch to get all Adrian's wonderful choreography. It also resolves to the Wild Rift logo, which is amazing testament to both Dan and Kate, who's running that particular section. feel very honoured to work on the project because it was so amazing. We brought together so many amazing people. Like the spirit of collaboration just between all departments kind of created this wonderful, wonderful environment to produce beautiful work.
It's a wrap!